Ready to go, Connie?
Ready.
Hey, you're on.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Parks and Recreation and Leisures Activities Committee meeting today, January the 27th, the year 2023, 12 p.m., Charlottetown City Hall. Order of business. Call the meeting to order. Item 2, any declarations of conflict of interest? Item 3, approval of agenda. Second. Item 4, adoption of minutes. Item 5, any business arising from the minutes?
Mr. Chair, just wanted to get and it could be part of our closed session. No, it isn't. Just an update on the tendering for the Simmons Aqua Arena facility. Is it all right? Could I just ask the manager where we're at?
Right ahead.
Sure, Your Worship. So right now, we've awarded 5 tenders, and we're in the progress right now, a process of getting TP6 completed and posted within the next couple of weeks. Also TP7 posted within the next couple of weeks. And then those will be our last 2, unless something else comes up that we'll be awarding. So those should be posted and hopefully have awarded by early March, March range.
And Mr. Chair, I just want to follow up that the plans that are on the website, I know that people are going to that part of our website, that page. Just if we could get a link, direct link, I know we could put it on our menu bar, if that is possible, so that it's easier to access. Just if that's possible. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Just want to follow up on that, that information to the community, making sure the community has the information. I met with our manager, about a week ago, and I suggested maybe we could have another open house for information sharing to unveil our plans and just give more information to the community. So I did discuss that with Frank, and hopefully we can do something in the coming weeks. Again, this is just information sharing to get as much information out to the community as we possibly can. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any further business arising from the meetings? Councilor Matar.
Yes. Mr. Chair, can we speak a little bit to the tennis PEI information that is under the business arising from the minutes that we have here? Is that from the mayor?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just wondering if there is any work that is planned or will be done for the resurfacing of the tennis courts at Victoria Park.
Okay, Frank?
Just in the business arising from the minutes
$100,000, Frank.
for the resurfacing. Just wonder if you just explain this a little bit more to me, just for my own purposes.
So yeah, sorry, I just had to find things. It's been a while. That was back in December, so it feels like a year ago. Anyway, yeah. So with regards to that, there's an opportunity with the National Bank to make an application for funding. We have submitted an application. We don't know the amount. Someone had mentioned that it could be up to $100,000. We don't know that for sure, but we've made an application and we're waiting to hear from them. This is just for the resurfacing. If we decide to proceed with this, then we will have to upgrade the actual surface itself, the base and whatnot material. There is cracks that have formed in it, and the courts have been moving, so we would have to upgrade that. So there'll be an additional capital cost to it. So.
Okay, thank you. The reason I ask is resident in Ward 2 is very much involved with tennis PEI and had brought to my attention the need for resurfacing and also to revitalize that particular area. And I think the tennis courts have been removed from the spa, if I recall. So there's more need to have obviously tennis courts available down there, and state-of-the-art and upgraded. So I'm happy to see there was a note here on this. I was going to bring this to your attention today, so I didn't want to just repeat maybe the same thing, so thank you.
The other thing, Councilor Tertis, we did major work on the tennis courts there at Spring Lane. Nice surface there. Did that a couple of years ago. That's an option as well for the folks in Ward 2. Just wanted to just get you caught up on,
Macaulay Park. Yeah.
yeah, that's a nice surface too. It's a really nice surface.
Thank you.
So, but no, work with the tennis courts in Victoria Park is, it's always a challenge. They get heavy usage. And I do know that, last thing I read, one of the news outlets, is that there have been some type of an arrangement with the owner of the facility and the tennis group users that in the, I think, beginning in the January, or they're going to be going back there, utilizing those facilities as well. That was in the news from what I read. So again, that's also an option, particularly when it comes to indoor usage. So just wanted to bring that to your attention as well. So, but in terms of a long-term plan, yeah, that's something we're going to have to look at.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir. Any other business arising? Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just on that, I just wanted to add that, and I'm glad you brought that up, because we are getting short on tennis courts, especially indoor tennis courts. But it's my understanding that right now we're at least 2 ball diamonds behind what we need, let alone for the future. We need 2 soccer fields. I know Sherwood Soccer has been asking for a couple more soccer fields. Volleyball courts, we've got planning starting on the volleyball courts. Now we're hearing about tennis. We don't have any cricket courts yet, and need some pickleball. So I think just want everybody to be aware that there's a lot of traditional sports and new immigrant sports that we're behind on. So I know Frank and his staff have been looking at possible areas for building a sport complex to be able to look at accommodating a lot of these sports. I do have baseball PEI that wants to come in and make a presentation. I have soccer, Sherwood Soccer wants to come in and make a presentation. I now have volleyball PEI who wants to come in and make a presentation. The lineup is starting to grow, so I think it's something that we got to deal with sooner rather than later. Can't ignore these anymore. We're not only behind in our traditional sports, but we're behind, as I said earlier, in the immigrant sports. So a lot of work to do just to catch up for what our needs are today, let alone thinking about tomorrow. So I just wanted to let the committee aware of that. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that. And, you know, whether it's complexes or other options, we have to look at, I think everything has to be put on the table to look at options and opportunities. There's no doubt about it. Our city is growing. The demand is growing. Expectations are high. So, you know, with the increase of people moving to our city, again, the expectations are high, and we have to have a plan, I suppose, and hopefully we'll get the support too from the province and the feds, because you know, they're very instrumental in wanting more population in our city and in our province, and with that, then they're going to have to, I would suggest, help out with some of these amenities and some of these facilities in our city. It's not just Parks and Recreation, it's all departments. The services are in high demand. So duly noted, and yeah, we got a lot of work to do.
And if I can just add, you're right, the population is growing, which just puts more pressure on facilities that we need to build. So obviously, we need a lot of land, which we don't have. But I know the staff is looking at some possibilities. of possibility of some areas for a sport complex where we can deal with a lot of these sport facilities in one location anyway. So anyway, just wanted to add that we are well behind and we do have to start concentrating on getting some of these facilities built and up and running. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other?
Mr. Chair, could I just suggest that Councilor Bernard and I met a few weeks ago, was it before Christmas, I think, with soccer PEI. They're looking for an indoor facility. Tennis PEI, or Tennis Canada Tennis PEI, Prince Edward Island's looking for an indoor facility. I think we just have to put, I don't know if it's something the department or senior management has to put together a group that will look at the priorities, funding, land, staff that would be required. Like, when you add up what Councillor Bernard said and what I've been preaching about just the cricket pitch, there's a lot of, demands. So those demands are going to cost money in terms of facilities and then staff in those facilities. So I don't know, Donna, if Mr. Chair, through yourself, if our CAO can look at working with, again, outside the silos and just put something together so that we can go forward.
I think it's timely. But when we're talking indoor facilities, whether it be soccer, I think it has to be a multi-purpose facility, not just for soccer. Like the facility they built in Stratford, they did a great job, but the facility wasn't big enough. The ceiling wasn't high enough. And it's not truly a multi-purpose, even though there are different sports that are in that facility. So if we're looking at a facility, it has to be a facility that's all-encompassing and all-inclusive, and, not just soccer. I would suggest football and other sports. So, this time of the year, for example, these different organizations have that opportunity to do dry land training indoors. So, yes, I'll.
Mr. Chair, I believe in your capital budget, there is one area that you've got identified as the Parks and Parks and Recreation Open Master Plan. That's certainly, if we get that off the ground this year, and that will help to identify what the priorities, and then going to his worship's point, I would suggest you expand it and ask for some of the operational costs, just like we did for the pool many years ago, that we do it under that plan. We expand it to have a look at how much it would cost, what we could build, that type of thing.
Thank you, Don. Thank you, Donna. And when maybe we can get that information too, Frank, that facility over in Stratford, just to see what the original cost. I know Mr. Pettipaw that lives on up in Johnson's Avenue there, he was instrumental. He'd be a good person to talk to too, because he was the number cruncher when it came to that facility. And I recall when they were building the facility, I encouraged him to, try to accommodate all sports. And the way their plan was, they were only going to spend as much as they have, and they didn't get a chance to go all the ways with it. But nonetheless, your point's well taken, and yeah, we now have to be much more proactive. Thank you. Okay. Having said that, we
Worship,
have,
Mr. Chair,
yeah,
just to add a little bit to that, I don't want to be too premature here, but I know there's been some conversations with ministers down at the government. I know that land that we're annexing in, or has been annexed into East Royalty from Marshfield. There's a possibility that they're looking to build a health center, and there's a possibility that there's some money, if we wanted to add the gym to it, that they have some interest in that. They too, not unlike us alone, they too get hammered for the school gyms, and different organizations want to use schools, gyms, and they're very difficult to get into. So at the time, there was some interest shown in the possibility of helping fund a gym in the city. So Nothing's been confirmed, but there certainly was a conversation on that. So that's certainly an avenue that we can look at. I do think at the end of the day, a lot of these sports that we talk about, and I guess Frank and a lot of Frank's staff will tell you that we could offer a lot more programming if we had a gym. And I know through staff at Sport PEI, I mean, they get inundated with calls, people looking for a gym. Right now, basketball is one that they can't find a place to play. They've got a ton of kids signed up, and talk about trying to find a facility to do basketball. So there has been some conversations had, and I think there's things that could happen here in the next little while.
Nope, those are good suggestions. Like I said, I'd like to explore all options, all opportunities throughout the city of Charlottetown. Especially when you're into the high density areas as well. We've got to look at everything, and we're going to go through it with a very comprehensive approach. Those are good suggestions. It's back on here. So, under reports, we have 3 requests for rental fee waivers. I think, Frank, would you like to walk us through these 3 respective rental-free waivers?
Yep. Thank you, Councillor Tweel. Yeah, so you'll see in your report, the first one is from the UPI Health and Wellness Center. They have a change program that they're running, and they're being bumped during Canada Games, and Mike's here, so he can correct me if I say anything correctly. So they're looking at a temporary facility for, I believe it's 2 weeks, is it, Mike, or? 3 dates, yeah, 3 dates. So we're recommending to approve this fee waiver. It would amount to $225 plus HST. It's just sort of they're being bumped due to Canada Games, and we're trying to work with groups that are being bumped for that reason. So I don't know if people support that one. There's 3 different ones, so I'll maybe get your support on each one.
Where are they looking to go, Frank?
It's Hillsborough Community Center. It's right. It's in the the
okay.
background of there. Yeah. Sorry.
Yes, okay.
So if people are good with that, that'd be great. Thank
Okay, that's
you.
the first one. Do I have a mover?
Okay, then the next 2, and there's a letter there and everything explains what the program's all about. They gave us lots of information.
Oh, I'm sorry, Frank. A question on that one for Hillsborough Community Center. Is any other programs being bumped?
No,
No?
no.
Okay.
No, we wouldn't be able to accommodate them if we were. We're not bumping groups.
No, I just wanted to ask, because last thing I want is in one of our current user groups saying we got bumped. So pardon me? Oh, is that right? Okay, well,
Yeah.
okay.
So the next one there's 2 different ones, and maybe I'll let, do you have the information there in front of you, Mike, or do you want me to? Yeah, you have it in front of you. Do you want to sort of share? Both of them are looking for, I'll just say, both of them are looking for a fee waiver. The regular bookings they're looking at, so the first one is, and I can't even say that word, Coralda, PEI Cultural Association. So they're looking for a number of dates you'll see there. And each time, if they had each time, it'd be $75 per time, and it's 12 dates they're looking for. The fee would be $900 plus HST. They were requesting a full fee waiver, and we're recommending that we would give a 50% discount. We just don't feel that you should be waiving the fee completely for every group kind of thing, because there is costs associated with them going into facilities for cleaning and whatnot. So that is that one, and the next one is
For you. So the program itself that they provide, this respective organization, do they, is there a fee that they attach to their members? Do you know?
I'm not sure if they charge a fee to their group or not. It's so this is a community gathering group.
Okay.
It's a closed somewhat group. It's not open to all the public because it's the type of group it is, and same with the other group as well.
When you say culture, what do you mean? What do you mean? Okay.
And the other group is the other group is called this The same group as well, it's just, how do you want to explain it, Mike? A different association, yeah.
They're two separate corral groups with two separate associations looking to service that community.
Okay,
So we're recommending the same for that. They're looking for a set date as well, and the rental fee would be the same, and we're recommending that we would agree to waive 50% of it. And these groups can be accommodated at the facility. Mike's been able to, I think you've been able to accommodate them in all the dates.
I've got the one group accommodated. One group has been booked, it's just waiting to hear on the results, and then the other group, I'm still working with them, but I'm sure we can find them somewhere.
Is Mike, future turn your mic off, Justin, I can't hear it.
My- Sorry.
When is Randy talking?
So I have accommodated the one group, but I'm still trying to finalize dates for the other group, but none of the dates that I'm proposing will bump any other groups or anything like that, so I'll be able to fit them in the schedule.
Okay. And my understanding is one of these groups have had some issues with the hall before, and they will be told that if this continues, this will be discontinued?
Yes, so one of the groups we have in the past had some issues with post events. So we've given them a stern warning that if any of the rental rules are broken, that they will be swiftly removed from the bookings.
Perfect,
What-
thank you.
what were the issues?
Mostly a mess in the hall and some other things, some noise complaints and other types of things. So it warranted them being not allowed to rent for it's almost a 2-year period, which fell throughout the pandemic. So maybe didn't affect them much, but they weren't allowed to rent for a couple of years.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
I just want to thank Mike White for working with both groups. So the first group is the Kerala Prince Edward Island Cultural Association, and the second group is the Kerala Association of Prince Edward Island. And as we found out, both of them serve the same population. Kerala is a province just south of Mumbai, former Bombay. And if we're talking about our new Canadians, it's always an issue to address those community of interests. And this is a community of interest because it's a place of gathering, there's a place of worship, place of education, place of celebration, place of recreation and leisure activities. So this addresses one of the issues. I just would ask if we could look, I think there are other associations that do use our facilities free of charge, which they're public facilities, there's municipal facilities, and this is serving a particular population, our new Canadians from India. Instead of the 50%, I would ask for a 100% waiver, at least for the first year to try it out, to see how it works out. Again, we're looking at $450 times 2, it's $900 cost for actually, well, if you take the full cost, it's $1,800. Again, I don't know how, Mike or Mr. Chair, through you, how that affects Frank's budget, but again, it's just opening that door where we want to encourage our new Canadians that, look, you're not only just here, we want you to stay, we want you to be part of our community, and we want to celebrate with your community. And I think this is just opening that door a little bit as we try to address those other community interests. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Do you want to respond to that, Mike?
I agree with a lot of what you said, but like Frank had mentioned, there are costs associated with renting it. So we're just trying to recoup some of those costs. And I think a part of it is where do we draw the line on which group and from where and what are they, like, it's just every group that comes forward isn't now a precedent that, okay, if you're, that's the type of thing. So I agree with a lot of your points, and it's, they're an important group to their community. But we also have to look on the other side of what it costs to run these facilities and what other groups may be coming behind with the same requests moving forward, and do we accommodate all those?
And, sorry.
Go ahead, Frank.
Chair, just one further addition to that too, like, we're trying to balance with all the different groups that are out there, that we find that if there is some fee associated with it, they tend to respect the facility more because they are having to pay something. And most of the groups that we have, like, we wouldn't have we'd have some fee waivers, but not very many now. They usually are open to the full public completely as a greater whole. So we're just trying to be reasonable. We have other groups that we've like fee reductions, and that's sort of been the route we've been going because the costs do continue to go up. When we have these bookings in the facility, it's going to mean that Public Works is going to provide more janitorial support. So they will have to call someone in to do the work. So.
Mr. Chair? I second what Mike just indicated there. Those the questions I was going to ask the same is, where do we draw the line? So again, my question would be more around, like, how many user groups do we have at these facilities? And there's a number of them, I assume, across the city. Various user groups, from whether they're community-based, religion-based, to sporting events. And where do we draw that line? Do we have any criteria around when a user group can have a facility free of charge versus charging? And is it based on the type of activity? Is it based on the group? Is there any indications there?
And Mike can add to this, but usually it's one-time bookings that we will do fee waivers, and usually they're doing things for the overall community, like doing a fundraiser, doing something like that. When they're actually offering an activity like this, we do try to recoup some fee. Even if we charge the full-time fee, it's not covering all our costs. And how many we have, not as many, it wouldn't be very many. Mike might be able to speak on that.
Yeah, we have just off the top of my head, we have a couple at each community center that would be long-standing, free of charge groups, scout groups, things like that. Yeah, so we try to strike a balance. The criteria, I mean, obviously nonprofit, right? Servicing the community. There's, but to say we have a metrics that we use for everyone, we don't, which is something we talked about actually needing to put into pen to paper and putting one in place so that there's just some criteria that need to be met to even be able to come forward with the request for the fee waiver, right? So we're working on that as we speak to meet those criteria.
Yeah, I think that'd be important if we're going to start to venture into even, splitting fees by half and or better yet, full fee removal. I think that'd be important because it does open up. I think it's going to be a slippery slope, and it's really going to open up for interpretation of different groups that are coming in wanting to use the facilities free of charge. So.
Just so you know, there is something, and I'd have to find it out, Mike isn't wrong, I've been around it for a long time, that you have to be a nonprofit. That's usually, we don't even consider ones that are not nonprofit. And then we've done it on a case-by-case basis. And it's only been recently that we've been receiving a lot more requests. We did have a real low there when the pandemic hit and all our facilities were closed, so we didn't have any fee requests for about 2 years. So we don't get that many. We usually get in the range of half a dozen or so a year.
Yeah, I think traditionally, I know from Hillsborough Community Center, there has been some where someone in the community has cancer and there's a fundraiser put on for that, to raise money for that family and things like that. That's what I recall as being mostly they'll do for free, just to help the cause. But while I'm thinking of it, and the mayor just reminded me, I want to thank Mike also for looking after the community centers and that. I used to always get calls on building was locked, the alarm's going off, somebody didn't have a key to get in. And since Mike's taken over that, I haven't had one call on keys gone, they don't have the keys to get in, there's no way to get in, the alarm's going off. So, Mike, I do want to thank you. I know it's long overdue. I think you've been looking after that for a couple of years, but I could say that I used to get quite a few calls. And so you're doing something right. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, thank you for the discussion on this issue. Again, I go back to the meetings that we had, the Kerala Cultural Association of Prince Edward Island, the Kerala Association of Prince Edward Island. they're new Canadians, and they're not all Canadian citizens. They're PRs. They're here because other Kerala are here, or other residents or citizens or new immigrants are here because of the opportunities that this great country has to offer. And that's why I'm proposing the no fee, because it's only for 1 year. It's again, I think, you may get the possibility of other new Canadian groups, such as the Ukrainians, the Nigerians, the Bahamians. There's so much diversity in our community that this is a way to promote diversity and inclusion. And that's why I keep recommending or keep suggesting that the 100% waiver. And but again, Mike, you know the facilities. The facilities are working well for the community. But again, Councillor Matard talks about the user groups. Growing up here in Charlottetown, there were a lot of user groups. There was the boys, the Cubs, the Boy Scouts, the Girl Guides. Those associations are not as vibrant as they were when we were growing up or when I was growing up. What's taken over are new Canadians. They're moving here and they want to get a connection to our community. And this is, as I said, there are 5 areas or plus that community of interest are so important. And place of gathering is one of those areas that is very utmost important to any new Canadian group or association, Mr. Chair. So again, it always comes down to a vote where we go, but if we come down to, let's try this out at 100%. If not, we'll have to just move on.
Okay, so there are 2 perspectives on the floor. One wants to support the staff's recommendation.
I will also.
Pardon me?
I will also.
Support the staff's recommendation?
Yeah.
Okay, so we got Mr. Petard, Mr. Bernard, supporting the staff's recommendation. Mr. Mayor, we take it to a vote, 2-1 vote.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Motion's carried. Frank, there's nothing under fee waivers?
No, that's everything.
Thank you.
But we do have some criteria now that guide us, do we not, Frank? Some
I don't
criteria.
know if it's hardcore criteria, but, pardon?
We do have one that I'll have to review it and check to see. It might not have been updated and it might have just been let go, but
But
we
it's
do.
been a
We
guide that we've used over the years.
we have guiding principles, and that's what we'll do is we'll put the guiding principles to paper with a few. We want to leave the flexibility in there as well. We don't want to make it too rigid because every single case you will see, every single one is unique to its own self. So
I
And
think,
I think you have to leave it like that. I think there has to be some leeway. And that's why I like it's case by case, but you have a policy as a guide to follow.
but I think if I heard, although you haven't used the phrase, I think you're basically saying we want to recoup the costs and you want it to be cost neutral. No, you weren't
No, we
suggesting
don't
cost
even.
neutral?
I wouldn't even say we need to be cost neutral, just we need to recoup some of the cost. Yeah. Yeah, we don't need to break even on it, but we would like to recoup some of the costs that it takes to run these facilities. And again, this is a combination, these facilities are run in a combination with Parks and Rec and Public Works, right? So they do the maintenance side of it, and Parks does the scheduling side of it. So it's a combination of the 2 departments, and I know, the recovery cost, no, we're not gonna get neutral, but we'd like to at least get some recouped.
That's all.
Okay.
And Mr. Chair, let's not mix up the two, like hockey, baseball. The city subsidize hockey through our program that provides funding to each player, right? So this is about halls, this is about facilities that are open to the public, that we can all use and enjoy. And again, I want to emphasize that community of interest for our new Canadians is something we have to focus on, because the population growth just on our own is not working. That's why immigration will continue to grow, and those new Canadians will be spanning out across the country. So we have to make sure that we have facilities and that we provide a fair return, a fair fee, or something that's fair to not just one group but all groups. And if I could ask Mike, Mr. Chair, that Mike and Frank to get this framework that's already in place, the policy on fees and waiving fees, because to me, waiving fees is like the French language. There's always exceptions to the rule, so we can always find them. Exceptions to the rule. French language. Le français, merci beaucoup.
Pourquoi? Qu'est-ce que tu fais?
I think if I could add, though, I think what the point Mike was making, the point I was making was, the recommendation was, and it has been agreed by the committee, to reduce the cost by 50%. So the cost recovery for the halls, similar to the rink, when you look at cost recovery, we're only getting about 50% from our rink facilities. And this here, even with the full prices, I heard, we're not getting full recovery, so even from full price. So we've reduced the full price down to 50%, which I think is good. They've asked for a reduction, we've given them a reduction, so.
Okay, good discussion. So, Mike, thank you. Frank, I know that you two gentlemen will further your work and put some information down on paper, and I think we can review it at a later date. Good discussion. Item B is a review of the committee's terms of reference, and if necessary, provide any friendly amendments. So, you have it in front of you. Is there any questions? Not, we can just move on to our next agenda item.
I know, Donna, who put that on there? Who asked to have that on?
Terms of reference?
Yeah.
That's going to all the committees.
It's been on all of the committees, but I think given your large agenda in the closed section, you may want to defer this to another meeting, Mr. Chair.
Terms of reference?
I assume it was just on there just to go.
Yeah, yeah, but if there's any, it was just on for information purposes to make sure that
Information
people
purposes,
understood it. Make sure the people understood it, but like I said, given your large agenda, you may want to defer this for another meeting and.
Or if it need be,
Yeah, if need be, if anybody has any questions.
There's no real change from this one to the last one, was there?
Not much, no.
No.
I think it was just to go through it.
Yeah.
Familiar with the terms.
Yeah,
Well, I
I
can,
mean, if you don't want to do it, I'm okay too.
yeah, well, you can rest assured, there's nothing to do with here with water and sewer.
No. We just remember,
Just
don't
with
worry.
Queen Street.
We're getting into silos. Silos belong on farms.
Okay.
But, Mr. Chair, just in the terms of reference,
Yeah.
I know I've said this at other committees. We do have facilities that are owned and operated, and we have to keep in mind that we have to reduce our emissions through net zero 2040. So that should be added. We're adding them to all the terms of references.
that is being added along with the diversity lens to all the terms of references.
Thank you.
Yeah, and just on that, I think Nick and Steve McFadden have already met. They've been going over these community centers for energy efficiency. So I can tell you that.
Yeah, no, but it has to be part of, this is also for existing and any new facilities that we have to keep in mind that we are cognizant of the fact that we're part of reducing our emissions net zero by 2040. Just has to be put in. It's something we have to all work together as a city and as a
Okay,
government. Thank you, sir.
motion to move into a closed session as per 119, 1 subsection, E, a matter still under consideration of the PEI Municipal Government Act. Geez, I'm popular today. Introduction of new business. Oh, okay. Adjournment
mover and a
of
seconder.
public section.
We,
Yeah.
so we don't adjourn that session until afterwards, after we come into the close, your worship, Councillor Twill. So we'll just move into the closed session,
Yes.
and then we'll adjourn the meeting after we move out of the closed, move
Okay.
back into an open.
So I'll do that now. So,